Well, we have to beat Dallas, which will not be an easy task. Obviously, very good team. Luka and Kyrie, one of the more potent backcourts in the entire NBA. The shooting they have around them, their athletic bigs that get on the rim, put a lot of pressure on the rim. We just have to continue playing how well we played offensively and clean up our defense. And the stat that jumps out to me, last year we were second in the NBA, only allowing a little over 11 made threes per game. So far this year, we're averaging giving up 14.5 threes. That's a big difference, over 9 points. So the three-point defense really has to improve, and hopefully that starts today.
Michael, that small lineup that you went to in the fourth quarter the other night, is that something that when you were kind of thinking of before the season, as you alluded to, is it something that you can see being sustainable for stretches of games at a time, or is it something that if you're going to use it, you'd rather be pretty selective with based on a certain matchup?
Yeah, I think it's something that if we wanted it to be, yeah, it's something we could go to. But when you do that, you're really cutting down your rotation. And obviously only 9 games in, that's probably one of my bigger concerns right now is making sure that we're not running guys into the ground with so much basketball left to be played. Obviously, it was a second half adjustment. Last game, it was effective. I thought Peyton did a really good job. Whether he's a 4 or a 5 or a 3, you can use him as a roller, and for him to be a dynamic roller, which we saw in that game. So we'll see what happens tonight. Each game will take on its own personality.
What do you think is the biggest contributor to the three-point defense? Is it perimeter breakdowns, putting you in rotation, bad rotations?
I think the biggest area is transition. So Miami, they made 23s last game. 8 came in transition. 5 of those 8 were off of our turnovers. That's the other thing. Offensively, we've been really good, but last 5 games, our points allowed off our turnovers is bottom in the league. And we had a great first quarter. I think against Miami, it was 10 assists, 1 turnover in the first. Then after that, quarters 2, 3, and 4, we just threw the ball all over the place. And, it's tough. Jimmy Butler is a great player, but when he goes out, now they just put more shooting out there. It makes it a little bit more difficult to guard. But I think the biggest area right now, Adam, is our transition defense, communicating and not all running into the paint, giving up threes.
Coach, Mark Caldwell from the Mass TV broadcast. Question for you about early last season for your team. What do you recall the challenges were of early season games after a short summer, after your championship run, and also your experience of playing games against opponents when you had the proverbial target on your back from being the defending champion?
Well, yeah, I thought our group handled it really well, to be honest. I mean, I know that the postseason, the playoffs didn't end the way we had hoped, but to win 57 games in a regular season, which tied a franchise record. And I had to remind our guys throughout the season that, every team, all 29 teams are coming after us. And we just think, we just can't think we're going to show up in Charlotte one night. We're just going to win because we're the Nuggets. And we actually have to play our brand of basketball. But those were fewer and more far between than I had anticipated, to be very honest. So I give our guys credit for understanding that. I think the greatest challenge was the mental and physical and emotional fatigue that goes into playing into June, short off season, and then gearing back up to do it all over again when you have 29 teams coming after you every night. It's a long season. There's ups and downs. After our second game this year, the season was over for a lot of people. And we realized in our locker room it's 82 games is a long year. And we're playing better now. There's going to be other times in this season where we're going to struggle, as does most every other team in the NBA. So how do you handle that? How do you stay with it? And our guys have done a pretty good job of that throughout the years.
Coach, you mentioned not running what would be the ideal number of minutes you'd like to play Nikola Jokić?
48. Ideal, I mean.
But how do you determine whether 34 minutes is the best for him or 36?
The game will tell you. I mean, it's going into each game, I plan on playing him around 34, 35 minutes a night. And, that would put him in a really good spot. He's never been a guy that's been top 10 minutes played. I think we've done a pretty good job with his minutes. Early in this season, though, I mean, it's great that we're 6-1 in our last 7 playing better, but I also know that a lot is being asked of Nikola, as well as our other starters. So, but yeah, if we could have games where, like we had against Utah, I believe, where he doesn't have to go in the game and keep his minutes on the lows 30, that would be outstanding. because hopefully, he's playing the majority of our 82 regular season games, but that allows him to be fresher and more effective come postseason.
Luka obviously is one of the league's toughest discoveries, right? This season there's been a couple things that consistently defensive opponents have done against him, trying to take away the roll man, right? But especially never double teaming him, which is something that he obviously used to get a lot in his career. I'm curious if you have any perspective on why defenses consistently, opponents consistently have turned it that way.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know if I have a good answer, to be very honest, because I can't speak for the other coaches and their game plan and how they choose to. But you're right. There are certain players in this league, damned if you do, damned if you don't. A lot of teams play the big down the floor, like Phoenix did. And now you have Luka, who is a battering ram, just getting 2 feet into the paint. He can hit the roller, and they have 3 dynamic rollers who can dunk all over you. He can find the three-point shooter, they're always moving on penetration, and he's a hell of a finisher. So you have a choice to make. I think in the past, I think our defense has done a pretty good job of trying to give him different looks. That's the bottom line. Against any great player, you have to give Luka different looks from a personnel standpoint, bigger, smaller, quicker, pick him up, try to wear him down, as well as different looks from a game plan standpoint, because any great player, once they find a rhythm, now you're in trouble. And so we have to be proactive with that and try to keep them off balance.
Coach, actually, 2 questions.
Just one, Mark.
Just one? Let me figure out which one.
No, you got it, man.
The energy and the fire that Russ plays with, is that a rarity in the NBA? And how does somebody that age still play like that every night?
Yeah, well, obviously I've been in the league, I don't know, 23, 24 years now, and I have not come across many Russell Westbrooks, and not just the energy and effort, the leadership, the edge, the competitive spirit. And it's funny, I think, when I speak to him about his family and his kids, and, because every time you have children, some of your kids take on your personalities. And, I have 2 girls, and one's like my wife, one's like me, and I feel bad for her because she's like me. Those that know my family know the answer to that. But I think Russell Westbrook, when he's long done playing, no matter what he's doing, he will always be Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean? Like in his heart, in his core. He's always going to hate to lose. He's always going to have an edge. And I've said to the media that's here every day, I love that about him. I mean, like sometimes you can, as a coach, can I coach that? For me, I love that. Reminds me of when I coached DeMarcus Cousins. I loved coaching DeMarcus Cousins. Talented, competitor, hated to lose, had an edge. And, when you have guys that are going to show up every single night when that jump ball goes off, you're never going to have a problem with me. So it's amazing what Russell has done in 17 years and is continuing to do. His impact on our team in every way, shape, or form, Mark, has been just incredible.
And in terms of Clay, you were there at the beginning, you've seen what he's done there. Is it pretty odd to see him wearing a different uniform?
Yeah. For me, yes. As you mentioned, I was there when we drafted him in my 2 years there. Before they had their run of success, and to see him in a Dallas uniform just seems so foreign. But end of the day, you always want what's best for the player, and you root for Klay Thompson, and you marvel at his career and what he's been able to do, and coming back from the injuries, and you applaud that, and you root for guys like that. And I'm sure when they play at Golden State, they'll have a hell of a welcome party for him because he fully deserves that.